Welcome back. Thank you for downloading this document. I know you're busy, and again, it's my pleasure to read it to you. Today, in this video, we are talking about mistakes number 2 and 3. Let me get my glasses on. I'm going to read the document to you. I may add in some commentary, but I'm trying to stick to it because I want these to be less than 8 minutes long. So mistake number 2 is believing that your bank account should reflect your intelligence and hard work. So you have worked so hard. I know you have worked so hard. You did everything right. Okay. You follow the rules. You got the degrees. You earn the promotions. You make good money, probably more money than you ever imagined when you were first starting out. So why doesn't your bank account reflect that effort? Why do you still feel one unexpected expense away from financial stress? Why does your net worth statement feel like evidence that you're failing? This makes you start to think, what's wrong with me? I'm smart, I'm capable, I'm successful in every other area. Why can't I figure this out? Let me tell you why this happens. Our culture teaches us that wealth is a reflection of worthiness. And if you're smart and hardworking, you should be rich. If you're not, there must be something wrong with you. And this creates like this toxic shame around money that just makes the problem worse, right? If you feel like you're the only successful person who doesn't have it together financially, it's going to make you feel a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, and then you hide that, right? And it's like this feeling of like you're performing success on the outside, like you're performing like a successful person while you're feeling like a fraud on the inside. When you go to work and you're doing your job and you're really good at what you do, you feel very confident. But the moment the topic of money comes up, all of a sudden you feel like you're just gonna, stand and nod or pretend like you know what's going on. You don't really feel successful about that. But here's the kicker. The shame triggers more nervous system dysregulation. And the more nervous system dysregulation you have, the more you avoid, which leads to more financial chaos. So it kind of puts you in this loop, right? So here's what to do instead. Separate your worthiness from your net worth. Your bank balance is not a measure of your intelligence, your work ethic, or your value as a human being. Your current financial situation is simply the result of behaviors driven by nervous system responses that you haven't yet learned to regulate. That's it. It's not a moral failing. It's not evidence that you're broken. Once you stop equating your financial situation with your worth, you can actually look at the numbers without shame. And that's when real change becomes possible. So what I tell people in my program is to look at the numbers as though they're somebody else's numbers. Okay. Especially I get a lot of people who have trouble with their, either the amount of debt they have or their credit score. And you can have, they want their credit score to stay in the 800s or they want it to be in the high 700s, right? Because they're really equating that credit score almost like how we did when we were in school. Like your credit score is a reflection of how smart you are, how good you are with managing money. And it really isn't, and I just tell people to take some of the value off of those numbers because what you're doing, and you may not even realize it, like you may be sitting here thinking right now, like, is she crazy? Like, of course, I love the fact that my credit score is an 805. But what happens is that the more emphasis you put on these numbers, the more you actually take away from your self-worth because they're connected together. And that's a whole other conversation that we can have when you book your one-to-one. Because it continues to intensify this self-damage that you're doing by putting these numbers up on a pedestal. Anyway, back to the document. All right. Mistake number 3 is treating overspending as a discipline problem. Okay. So you tell yourself, I just need more willpower. I need to be more disciplined. I need to stop being so impulsive, right? When you're thinking about like, okay, you didn't mean to spend this much this month, and it's like, man, I just need more willpower. So what you do, what a lot of people do, so don't feel bad if you do this, you hunker down and you white knuckle it for a few weeks. You're like, okay, I'm having a no spend November or a no buy July. I'm just gonna spend. I remember my ex said one time, he was like, we're gonna have a no spend year, right? He was a saver, I was the spender, and he was telling me we were gonna have a no spend year. So I kind of knew, I could read between the lines. I knew what that meant. But if you white knuckle it for a few weeks and you cut your spending and you say no to everything, you end up feeling deprived and resentful. And guess what you do? You overspend, right? Because something stressful happens. Either you have a hard week at work, or there's conflict in a relationship, or just the global news cycle feels overwhelming. Suddenly, you're back on Amazon at midnight or scheduling another girls' weekend that you can't really afford, or you're upgrading your wardrobe because you deserve it, right? And the guilt hits. Then the shame spiral starts and you think, I can't even stick to a budget. What's wrong with me, right? It's a loop. I'm really good at recognizing patterns. And so that's what makes me good at helping you with your money, because you don't see that loop. You don't see that pattern happening where you make yourself be disciplined. Something makes you spin out. You have a shame spiral. You guilt yourself. You're off your budget. You spend more money. Then you make yourself be more disciplined. It's really this cycle that keeps happening. So why does this happen? Because overspending is not a discipline problem. It's a nervous system regulation problem, right? When you're stressed, when you're overwhelmed or emotionally dysregulated, your nervous system seeks relief, right? For many high achievers like you, spending provides that relief. It's a dopamine hit. It's a moment of control. It's a way to feel like you're rewarding yourself for all of the hard work. But here's what's really happening. Your nervous system is trying to regulate itself. And the problem is, it's using a coping mechanism like spending that creates more stress in the long run, which dysregulates your nervous system even further, which leads to more spending. It's a vicious cycle. And no amount of willpower or discipline can break it, because you're trying to solve a nervous system problem with a disciplined solution. Here's what to do instead. Learn to recognize when you're spending as a coping mechanism versus spending from a grounded, regulated place. And before you make a purchase, pause and ask yourself, what am I actually feeling right now? What do I really need? Because often what you really need is rest, connection, validation, or stress relief. And once you learn to meet those needs differently, like meeting them directly instead of using spending as a proxy, the compulsive spending naturally decreases. Instead of depriving yourself, you're building a new nervous system pathway that allows you to spend intentionally in alignment with your values and your long-term goals, rather than reactively. So good. I hope this helps you, and I hope that you'll continue on to the next video where we talk about mistakes number 4 and 5 that'll help you become a high achieving woman who is really good with her money. I'm so excited that you're here, and I will see you in the next one.